I've always wondered, do you think if Walt had known that that was Jane's dad that he was talking to in the bar, do you think it would have influenced his decision at all to save her life, or do you think he was already too cold-hearted? Do you think Heisenberg was already too far gone to have?
I think it definitely would have influenced him because, like, I feel like a part of the reason why he even goes back to Jesse is from Donald's advice, right? Donald tells him, "You never give up on family."
Mm-hmm.
So if he'd have known like Jane is Donald's family, he would have been like, "Oh, okay, like if I'm gonna take this man's advice, I should probably save
Save
his
his daughter?
kid for
Maybe,
sure."
maybe, but she was a thorn in his side.
She was, and I think that like because I think that he was deciding, you know what I'm saying? Like I think
Like
that
sitting there crying, and he
right
composed
as he
himself
was
real
I think he
quick.
started crying was like when he realized like when he made the decision that he wasn't going to save her, but for a minute cuz he goes to save her at first and stops himself, right? And then he like kind of he's deciding, he's thinking to himself like am I going to let her die or am I going to save her? And when he decides to let her die is when he starts crying, but like that time that he's deciding like it would have like that would have been one of his considerations. Well, I know this girl's father. You know, this girl's father actually made a big impression on me
Yeah,
tonight.
he's a decent person. She at least comes from decent people.
Right. Also, like he says in the Fly episode, what are the chances? Like what are the odds that I would go to that bar on that night and sit next to that man and then come back and his daughter dies? Like that would factor into his mind too. Like do I believe this is a coincidence? Like what a mathematical
Do you think it bothers him?
what do you mean?
Do you think Walt ever sits back and thinks that in letting Jane die, he killed almost 200 people?
No. I don't think he considers like the long-term uh like consequences that don't relate
Like,
specifically to his life, but I think that like
no, at all? You don't at any point he never sat back and went, "Wait a minute. Those planes that I saw crash." You never think that he
I think that on the night maybe he thinks about it because in Fly he kind of just like unloads all of it. Like
Mhm,
he's basically gets everything off his mind that he's been thinking about ever since Jane died.
mhm.
And so like you got to believe that he has thought about it at least once, but like I don't think that it really affects him. You know,
No,
I
hell
think that
no.
like because I think like cuz you asked if he's too cold-hearted by now, like is he too cold yet? I think this is
One of those.
why he's
This is part
so
of it.
cold-hearted later,
Yeah,
you know,
I think
like
so too.
yeah, rather than he's already too cold-hearted to
I
save her.
think this death is more cold-hearted than even freaking Domingo and Crazy 8.
Oh yeah.
I think this is worse than that.
No, for sure.
This was an innocent bystander. Well, kind of.
Pretty much.
She threw herself into it at the last second, but come on.
Yeah, it's like you're about to see a pileup happening, and so you drive into a car and drive right into the.
Like, Jane didn't deserve to die.
You weren't even on the on ramp, Jan. Rest in peace, Wesley Shepard.
Jesse, wake up! You got robbed last night. Wake up! There's a hole in the door. They put a piece of cardboard on top, bro. This is Walter White we're talking about, though. Like,
But
he
it's
can't be.
season 2, Walt. It's
picks and
season
choo-
2, Walt.
He
He's
picks
not
and chooses.
Heisenberg yet.
Yes, he is.
And you get that text message like, I'm in New Zealand.
Hey, bro, I'm at the Shire.
I'm a bush pilot out here.
We melted 2 dudes in acid like a few weeks ago. Like, this is serious. Don't threaten him. He'll kill you.
Life, Death, and Dope Boys. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the show. I'm Indy. I'm joined by Justin.
What up?
Please be prepared for spoilers for the entirety of Breaking Bad.
It's true.
We're at the end of season 2. And honestly, like, I didn't realize just how important this season is.
Yeah, a lot happens.
A lot happens that, like, create some, like, major events down the line.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you're not caught up somehow, go back, watch the episode, or just finish the series, and then come back and watch this. I guarantee it'll be worth it.
Mm.
We just watched season 2, episode 12.
Yes.
It's called Phoenix. This is the one where Jane dies.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
This is a tough one, man. The end of this episode is nuts. But, we get a couple other things happening that don't really matter. But all the story picks up when Jane starts to get involved. So this episode was written by John Shiban. I don't know how to say that name.
I like Shiban better.
He's actually one of the executive producers.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he wrote a couple of other episodes in this season. He wrote Negro y Azul.
Black and Blue. Which episode was that?
That was
so familiar. Is that the episode Tuco kidnaps them?
That's the episode that Tortuga, the exploding head
I see.
Tortuga situation in Mexico. That's the most exciting thing that happens in that episode. One of the most exciting things that happens in the series.
Yeah. That's a really memorable scene right there.
Yep, the Danny Trejo one. He also wrote ABQ, the second ABQ, the season 3 one. Because ABQ, like the letters, is the season finale to season 2. And then one of the first episodes, I think the very first in season 3 is ABQ, but it's spelled out. You'll see it on the screen.
Oh, I know what you mean.
But he also wrote some Smallville, some Supernatural, some X-Files. Like, this guy, he probably wrote a lot of the TV shows that people who watched Breaking Bad the first time around, like, grew up watching.
Right. Thanks for X-Files, bud.
Yeah, for real. We're directed by Colin Buxey. He wrote I See You. That's a later on episode. That's the one where Hank's in the hospital after getting shot up by the twins or something like that. But he also has a primetime Emmy. This dude is like British, I guess. He wrote an episode of Fargo and won an Emmy for it.
It's a good show. We'll probably watch it eventually.
He also did some directing for Wu-Tang and American Saga, oddly enough.
Wow.
Some British dude was on the set.
Can't judge a book by its accent, I guess.
Thanks, dog. You hope to tell a story about the Wu-Tang Clan. Anyway, it's a lot of really cool things that happen in this episode. So I'm eager to go ahead and get started. Ready?
Yes.
Life, Death, and Dopeboys. Episode 19. Water on Mars.
After missing the birth of his baby daughter, Holly, Walt ain't wasting no time stashing that duffel in his sleek 2004 Pontiac Aztec. Then it's pedal to the metal to the hospital. Ted's in the mix too. Walt ain't tripping though. He bounces back and runs home to scoop up Skylar's overnight gear. Oh, and that duffel he stashed is heavy with over $1 million in straight cash. And that money was crisp too. It looked like Gus just went to the bank and just pulled out $1 million. Fresh off the presses. The money was probably still warm and shit.
Yeah.
Weird though, seeing Ted kind of creep into the frame.
I like how they brought him into the frame. Where it's like he didn't creep into the frame. He's standing there like enjoying the nice wholesome moment. Walt's meeting his daughter for the first time. Like Ted's like, man, this is really beautiful. Like he doesn't creep into the frame. The camera just kind of pans over and he's just
chilling.
There.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, all right, yeah, you guys, this is a great moment. The dude who was just holding this woman's hand romantically, like in the office. Come on, dude.
It wasn't romantic. He was just consoling her.
Okay, you're right. I'm jumping to conclusions for a show that I've already seen.
He's just being a pal.
Okay. I don't like the fact that he's even still at the hospital.
Yeah. I feel like if I was in Ted's position, I probably would have left when Marie got there. There's no reason for you to be here anymore. Like you've gotten her. Your job was to get her to the hospital and... Thank you. Somebody needed to take Skylar to the hospital, but like she's in the hands of medical practitioners now. And her sister's here. I should get back to work.
Bro, anyone's boss. I mean, you can be best friends with your boss, whatever. Skylar's not. So like you go to the hospital to see your friend and their boss is still just like they're chilling. There's family there. You're no longer needed. Your services were appreciated. Thank you very much. Gone.
It's weird that Marie didn't send him away. I'm sure Marie thought it was weird that he was there.
Because she actually knows of some history
funny business.
Going on between So this is just probably really strange to her. She probably just resolved to stay out of it.
That doesn't sound her. That's not her way.
Nah, that doesn't sound like Marie. It must, I don't know. But it seems like she definitely would have had something to say about the fact that like Ted was still hanging around. Okay, he dropped you at the hospital, all right.
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And Walt kind of looks at him the same way. He's like, I didn't even see you over there. Like,
stand lurking in the shadows.
Lurking. What are you doing?
I like the way that, like, because it's just the lighting and stuff. It's like he's not creeping in the corner. He's not lurking in the shadows. It's just the way the lighting is in the room. He's just, if anything, he's trying to be out of the way, which is very considerate of him.
It'd be weird if you saw him like scooting towards the door in the background.
Or if he came up to like congratulate Walt, if he like came and put an arm up around him. Hey, bud.
Hey, good
Congratulations,
job,
Dad.
You're a dad now. I've been a dad for 16 years. Get out of here. The whole kiss my wife on the cheek before you leave thing, and like they're like holding onto each other's arms. Like,
what's this about?
That'd have to be a no-go. That would have to be. Clearly, Walter's mind is still on that $1 million that he has.
Yeah, and the baby he's holding.
Yeah.
But I'd still let. For Walt, too, it's like, is this the hill you want to die on? Do you really want to get into this with your wife right now?
Especially since you were like an hour late to your baby's delivery.
Especially because of everything else that has happened over the last, like, month or two of their lives. Do you really?
Yeah, not only that, but like she's rolling with that hit. The fact that you were late, you gave your lame, like, I hit traffic excuse that you always give, whatever. But then she's like,
everything's okay. I just wish you'd been here.
And that's the last thing she says about it. From that point on in the scene, she's like, yeah, you know, Walt Jr. changed his first diaper. Like, yeah, like, it's all good. It's gravy. Yeah. Wish you were here, but let's move on.
Why cause static where it's undue?
That's a good point. That's a good point. We're here holding this baby. This is supposed to be a happy moment.
Sure, your wife was going to fuck that dude in like a week.
Not a week. Bro, by the time that happens, they're at least separated. Even if Walt is back in the house for some weird reason.
Because he is.
He moves back.
It might be the episode where he just forces himself back. Where she calls the police and like Walter Jr. shows up and is all excited to see him. So it makes Skylar look real bad.
My dad, he is a great guy.
Well, son, it's not your mom's fault.
So I'm pretty sure later that episode she fucks Ted.
It makes Walter
well within her
right.
Bad.
Because all right, so there's like he lives there. That's his house. All right, so that's like you can't kick me out of my own house. I live here. But at the same time, there's a dynamic like I might have resolved personally in the same circumstances. I might have resolved to just stay away from the house.
Yeah, dude, you already have an apartment and shit. Fuck it.
But he moves himself back in, and then that happens, and she tells him about it.
It would have happened anyway. Next morning, Jane gets a wake-up call from her pops, Donald. She casually mentions to Jesse on her way out that somebody broke in, and Jesse bolts to the kitchen and loses it when he sees that the dope stash is gone. Jesse hits up Walt, and Walt lays into Jesse for ringing him at the crib and doesn't react when Jesse drops the news about the stash. Jesse's practically begging Walt to drop some words, maybe even scream at him, but Walt, stone cold, just hangs up on him. A hot minute later, Jesse peeps that he has 4 messages lighting up his answering machine.
Jane is pretty nonchalant about the fact that there was a break-in.
At the property that she manages?
Yeah.
Like, you think?
That's the part.
Bruh.
At the property.
You know why? It's because they're on drugs.
You think that's it?
That's gotta be it. I can't think of any other reason. Like, ain't no way that this isn't a big deal to her. That makes 0 sense to me.
It's only she probably knows that she has to get it fixed, but I mean, to be honest, when you think about it, because she's dating a drug dealer, right? She's okay. Jesse's okay. There was a break-in, but this is the kind of like.
But it's her. At least it's her father's property, and you see the relationship that those two people have. You think she would have woke up and saw that the house had been broken into and like freaked the fuck out a little bit.
Maybe
Jesse, wake up! You got robbed last night. Wake up! There's a hole in the door. They put a piece of cardboard on top, bro.
Yeah, Jane doesn't. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the drug binge that they're on because she never really the fact that it's just a piece of cardboard taped over it, because you got to think Jesse still has money. Jesse's not broke. He's got all the money that he got out of that ATM machine after Spooge's head got crushed. He hasn't really spent that.
You don't think? What do you think that money is?
He's bought like furniture and a TV and
realistically, yeah, I guess he does still have to have some of that money somewhere.
Yeah, he grabbed like 20 bands.
You're right about that.
So he's got money. He's got enough money for them to just fix it, but they're not like pressed about it. At least Jane's not. I feel like the cardboard over the door was Jesse's solution because it was cold or something. It's probably creeping up on winter in the show, right?
Yeah, but they live in Albuquerque.
It's still chilly out. Jesse be wearing hoodies.
I guess
like
that's
every
true.
day. He's got to have like...
You're right.
Yeah, he's anemic or something. But that seems like Jesse's solution.
It seems like the solution of somebody who was just... They just wanted to fucking patch this up so they could go back to bed because they're fucking high on dope.
I don't know when that happens. But he figures out pretty quickly that, Walt has the money. So it's not even really like an issue to where he's so concerned about the door. Jesse is the one who should be more concerned about the door, or Jane is. Jesse is more concerned about the dope. So the fact that Jane isn't concerned about neither, and Jesse's only worried about the dope, like, it don't matter. But,
yeah, I guess
but
that's
Jesse's
true.
reaction is way more appropriate. As far as he's concerned, somebody else, like nobody else is supposed to know where that meth stash is, not even Walt. So the fact that somebody broke in, they went straight to the kitchen, knew exactly where the meth was, and took all of it.
I think it's this example is a testament to how powerfully addictive heroin is, because in Jesse's shoes, it'd been like, listen, Jane, we're never doing heroin again. Someone broke into the back door, walked right past us, and stole $500,000 worth of drugs out of my goddamn apartment.
And I didn't
even know. And after talking to Walter or something, you find out that I'm the one who told them where the drugs are. I just didn't remember because I was fucking doped up. Well,
Yeah, I would have a problem. I would personally have a problem with that fact.
Yeah.
I'm the one who told you? Anyone could have walked into my house and I would have told them where the dope is?
Yup.
No, we're not doing this no more. But he does it again. The next time he uses heroin is... next time we see him use heroin is...
Dude, the next day.
Yeah,
that
it's
night.
the next day.
I feel like...
It's while he's like telling Jane that...
I think this
Walt has
episode's
his
only
money.
over the course of 2 days, man.
It must be.
I think this episode is 2 days. Like, legitimately.
Yeah, 3 tops, 2 days. But yeah, I definitely would have stopped. It's time to
fuck
be
that,
done with this.
bro. Yeah. No,
But yeah,
man.
it's like really addictive. And he can't even, like, the next time he gets emotionally heightened after he leaves Walt's classroom, he's like, I need drugs. And he doesn't even go to his personal drug of choice. He uses Jane's drug.
Yeah. Jesse should have never done meth around her.
And then Walt doesn't tell Jesse right away that it was, but I feel like I would have done the same thing. I feel like I would have just hung up on Jesse.
Yeah, and let him freak out.
Yeah, because at this point, I'm pissed.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I almost missed out on $1 million. Almost missed this $1 million deal. There's no other way to move this 38 pounds of meth. We at one shot, I give you a call, and you're like, gone.
Adding insult to injury, exactly why the motherfucker I want to work with said he doesn't want to work with us. You proved him right.
You can never trust a drug addict.
Yeah.
You proved him right in this instance.
Not even like, and on a drug that it's like, bro, I didn't even know you was.
Yeah, I didn't even know you
Where
did
this come from?
Probably would have never associated with you if I knew that you did heroin. Let's be real.
Yeah. What? Heroin? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
He just kind of says that to him in the classroom.
Really? Heroin? And it's like, yeah, man, really?
I'm disappointed in Jesse.
Like,
No, I would have been like, yo, answer your voice machine.
where are Jesse's friends? Like, I guess nobody's told.
His friends are kind of, I don't know.
Badger is in what? Fresno?
Badger is in Fresno.
Skinny
And-
Pete doesn't talk to him. Skinny Pete's probably pissed at him right now.
Skinny Pete's probably still mad at him because he wasn't at the funeral.
Yeah.
because that was yesterday.
It was at least earlier this week.
The funeral, he listens to the funeral voicemail on the same day that Jesse brings. Like he listens to that voicemail, and then then Jane comes in with heroin
for the first time,
and then they wake up and the meth is gone. So it's like,
word is the floating scene, and then and then Walter comes in. So damn, so Jesse's done heroin 3 times at this point over the course of the last 3 days.
In this whole, we see him do it 3 times. The first time is
he's floating.
And
that night is when Walter comes for the money.
Yes.
And then the
second
next day
time is the next day after he comes back from the school, and then it's that next night. Yeah. That's all it takes.
Damn, Jesse.
That night, Hank and Marie roll up to the White crib for a family feast. Los Pollos Hermanos chicken. As they chow down, Skylar drops the bomb that she's going back to work soon. With Walt's surgery on the horizon, she's got to stack that paper. When the night falls, Walt strolls with his newborn Holly all around the spot. He flexes, showing her the stacks he's stashed behind the garage wall insulation, and he tells her, "Your pops is out here holding you down, young blood." Well, Walt and Hank seem to be cool now. Remember the last time we saw them together was the tequila scene.
Yeah, but I'm sure Hank seems good at letting shit roll off his back like that. I feel like Hank can't do his job without being able to just let stuff roll off his back.
Yeah, especially something like that where he's sure that, like, all right, I would have beat Walter's ass.
Yeah, you could have beat Walt's ass. You know you were in the right. You know he was in the wrong. There's no reason
he apologized.
There's no reason for you to have any animosity. I'm like, whatever, bro. You're going through some stuff.
You just beat cancer.
Like, there's no reason for Hank to have any animosity.
It's all good.
He's a bigger man than Walter is.
Yeah.
Like, here.
His big, kind of racist heart.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, if he can brush off PTSD, then this is nothing.
I don't think he brushes off PTSD. He just internalizes it poorly.
Walt's really proud of himself for making that money, though. We really see it in this scene. I think this whole episode, but I agree with you. Yeah, this is kind of where they highlight it. It's like he's got...
This is his money. He made it for his family.
The chicken situation where Skylar's talking about going back to work. He knows Skylar doesn't have to work. Skylar's talking about him going back to work at the school. He knows he doesn't have to go back to work.
I'm not going to be a high school teacher
Fucking
ever again.
Hank and Marie offering their assistance. No, let us buy that for you. It's no problem. Walt knows he doesn't need Hank's money, but he can't tell anyone at the table that, no, we good. We good. I'm sitting on $500,000. But he can tell this baby. The baby's not going to tell nobody. Baby's not even going to remember. So he shows the only person who can keep a secret the stacks of money in the wall.
I think he could have told Skylar. I think Skylar is pragmatic enough. I think that by the time he tells her, it's too late, and that's why a lot of stuff gets messed up.
What about the fact that...
The way that he handles... I don't know. It's like he's so begrudging about letting Skylar in when it comes to the finances that, like, the bag kind of gets fumbled, even with her. Like, the whole giving money to Ted and shit, that should have never become an issue.
Yeah, that should have been able to be a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is some shit that could fuck things up.
I think Skylar was pragmatic enough that he could have told her and they could have figured something out then. They could have started figuring out how to launder the money or what lie they were going to tell. Because that's all Skylar's idea anyway.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you think about it,
he needs an accountant. He's married to an accountant.
All that happens after him and Skylar are separated. Right? Like, so legally, she's damn near like getting ready to divorce this man. And she decides to kind of like help him out with finding a way to clean the money up and, hide the fact that, all this stuff is happening. They're not in any semblance of a happy marriage when this is happening. So there's no real evidence shown in the show that if he would have told her while they were still happily married, that it wouldn't have
Blown up in
torn
his
his
face.
family apart. Yeah.
I guess that's fair, but man, it's $1 million. It's $1 million.
Yeah.
Skylar, I'm setting us up. I'm setting our children up for the rest of their lives, dude. Come on. We're rich now.
But Skylar is like,
She's like what?
When
Because
when
next
he
season she
tells
does a
her-
bunch of illegal stuff. Like it's nothing.
Yeah, but by that time, Walter has already
What about for
changed
Ted?
her.
What about for Ted?
By that time, Walter has already changed her.
I think she would have done that shit for Ted anyway, bro.
I don't know. It kind of like, the question is, all right, Skylar in season 1 and Skylar in season 3 are like, to me, two completely different people. My question about this would be, would Skylar have become that person anyway, whether the meth business was a secret or not?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes. I think that the person in season 2 and the person in season 3 are the same person. She just didn't have a reason. She didn't have to dig deep in herself to come up with that persona to help save Ted that first time when the IRS shows up. That was Skylar. The whole not laundromat, car wash idea and stuff. That wasn't another person.
Mm-hmm.
That was problem solving ass Skylar that she's been since season 1.
That's a good point. And this show it's kind of only a matter of time before any of the characters break bad.
Even Flynn and Holly.
Nah, not Flynn and Holly. They're the only ones who don't. Only ones who don't do any. Well, no.
Flynn probably becomes a fucking DEA agent somehow in his wheelchair or whatever.
That's interesting. I think that you could be right about that. I think they could be potentially the same person.
Yeah, dude.
Hmm.
The next day, Jesse storms into Walt's classroom all pissed off, calling him out for snatching the meth stash. Walt fires back, laying into Jesse for being all messed up during the biggest deal of their lives and making him miss Holly's birth. Jesse demands his $480,000 cut, but Walt refuses, saying he'll just splurge on dope and wake up dead within a week. Jesse swears he's clean, but Walt ain't buying it. He hands Jesse a glass beaker and challenges him to a urine test. Jesse, caught red-handed, loses it and hurls the beaker at the chalkboard, shattering it, and then leaves the classroom.
Jesse is awfully indignant for someone who
Helps
just
cook
missed
half of the meth?
just missed the best, almost ruined, almost squandered the deal of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Almost lost himself this is $500,000 that he wouldn't have
If it wasn't for Walter right now?
if it wasn't for Walter busting into the room and grabbing the meth stash, whether he told him about it or not, bro. Jesse, you dropped the ball, dude.
Jesse did drop the ball. That is his money. Give that man his money.
I feel like
What business is it of Walter's what Jesse does with his half of the money?
bro, it's not like there's no deal, there's no arrangement that Jesse is getting out the business. Like I understand there can be other stipulations that Walter could have came up with in order to be like, do this and then I'll release your funds. But like
I'm saying there should be no stipulation.
bro,
Why is he sunning Jesse right now? What do you care?
it's not about sunning him.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Because in any business, like there's money withholding like is a thing. There are situations where you can have money and it won't be released to you until you hit like some stipulations. It can be legal, it can be like as per your contract, whatever the case may be. Like Walter has the money. He also has a reason to believe that Jesse's gonna kill himself with it. And he still needs Jesse as a partner. So for him to be able to, for him to say, clean yourself up to a point to where we can continue to do business, like you're not in any position to be able to make this decision for yourself.
That shit
He's
has
being his guard, his like
nothing to do with Jesse. Jesse does not give a fuck if Walt might still need him as a partner. Give me my $500,000.
But at this point, what do you think Jesse would have done with that money?
Whatever it is, it's not Walt's business.
Even if Jesse goes and kills himself?
Yes.
What, bro?
Yes.
Yo, like if I have a business partner that I care about, and Walt cares about Jesse minimally, but he cares enough that at the end of this episode, he's like torn up over what he just let happen.
Yeah, but I think that's guilt over what happened.
So when at the end of the season, when he puts him in rehab, he doesn't care about Jesse. He puts him in rehab. He uses his own money to do that. Come on, man. He cares about Jesse. And literally,
it's like
if you had anything like a friend and you had their money and was like, all right, if I give him this money or her, she's probably gonna kill themselves. So I'm gonna keep it until they clean themselves up, bro. That's like a moral decision. That's a principled decision.
This is Walter White we're talking about, though. Like,
but it's season 2, Walt. It's season 2, Walt. He's not Heisenberg yet.
Yes, he is. He picks and chooses when he wants to take the high road and shit. Like, there is absolutely no
up
reason.
To this point, he's never killed anyone that wasn't self-defense.
Jesse could have killed himself on meth at any moment.
And Walter would have felt responsible for it if he had given, like, knowing that if I give you this money, you're going to kill yourself. If I give you this money and you kill yourself, I'm going to feel really fucking guilty about that. I'm going to feel like it was my fault.
But I don't think that's why Walter doesn't give him his money.
Yes, I do. I think it's all because he thinks that he's going to kill himself with it. Even when he brings him the money to the door, like before Jane closes the door on him, he's like talking to Jesse like, yo, you're not thinking straight. You're not thinking about this right.
That's just one manipulator trying to get over on him after another manipulator.
I can yield on that and not go down that road anymore. But I honestly do believe that Walt is being honest here and he thinks that Jesse's going to kill himself, because when he was just doing meth, it was like, all right, you know.
I think it's shitty that he's probably should have forced him to take a drug test, because you know good and goddamn well this man's not.
Was the point.
Even if he's not doing heroin. So that's just moving the goalpost, though, because even if the man wasn't doing heroin, let's say he missed that phone call for a different reason, is Walter still going to make him take a drug test? No matter heroin or not, Jesse's not going to pass a drug test. He's not. He smokes weed and meth.
But he doesn't want him to do a drug test. He's calling Jesse's bluff, because Jesse straight up lies and goes,
I'm clean,
man.
I'm
clean, man. Yeah, I'm clean right now.
No, you're not.
So that's just him calling his bluff. He knows that. But using meth, like, wouldn't have ruined the deal, wouldn't have spoiled the deal. Like, we talked about it while we were watching it. If he was on meth instead of heroin, that deal still would have happened. Walt would have called him. He would have been, like, tweaking on meth, but he wouldn't have missed the call. He doesn't deserve this attitude that he's copping right now. Throwing the fucking beaker at Walt.
Walt insulted him. Walt deserved that. I love that part because Walt says some grimy shit to Jesse and Jesse throws it, and then he looks at Walt like, he looks at Jesse like, what is wrong with you?
What did you do that for?
He looks at him like he didn't just call his girlfriend a junkie whore. I'm like,
he didn't say whore. He just called her a junkie.
Hey, whatever. Take this glass jar, bro.
And that's what she is. It's like Spooge and the skank.
I know skank, skank ass skank, skank ass skank, skank ass skank.
He calls her a skank. She's like, don't call me a skank, and he's like, you're a skank.
Whatever, man. Insults is insults. Somebody called your girlfriend the N-word. She's a
That's not the... Okay.
Yes, it is. Slurs are slurs. Don't call people junkies to their faces.
Hey, man, you better watch who you're talking to. I'll throw this beaker right at your face.
Yeah. Why arm somebody and then insult them?
Walt, of course, did not feel like he was arming Jesse.
He should have.
But Walt underestimates Jesse all the time. All the time.
Yes. And Walt stays talking mad shit to Jesse and then being shocked when he catches repercussions for it.
Man, I can't get around to your side on this argument. I feel like me and Jesse would also have not come to any type of rational conclusion. I mean, putting myself in the same position if it were you and I had money that I knew, I won't do it.
It's hard. I'm just arguing Jesse's point. Yeah, there's nothing that someone could say to me that would make me be like, all right, man, just hold on to this $500,000 for me. Fuck you. That wasn't the deal.
There's a parallel to this in Superfly. We just watched Superfly, y'all. And we'll talk about that more in that video. But right now, I want to talk about fucking Saul's deal that he has going on with Walt and Jesse.
How do you mean?
20%?
Yeah.
Saul is robbing them, bro.
Who else they gonna get to do it for him? Robbing them how? He's the only one. He's got a monopoly.
I guess they just have to take whatever offer that he gives them. 20%?
Yeah.
Every million that y'all make,
he's
he
taking
gets 200 bands out of it?
He's taking a risk too. He could go to prison too. He does go to prison. Of the three of them, Saul's the only one who goes to prison.
Damn. You're right.
He's taking a risk too. Arguably larger than either of them.
But he is getting dough.
Hey, they're still making more money. Saul's earning that. They couldn't do this without Saul.
You're right. He was the plug. He's the one who got them to Gus in the first place.
Yeah.
Dang. I guess you're right. Saul would have talked me into that deal too.
Yeah.
Who was he gonna go to, Walt?
Yo, man, I'm Skinny Pete.
Skinny Pete?
It's like when someone comes to you and asks for help and they have no one else that they can go to.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. You can ask for whatever you want. Yeah, I can help you, but
at least he's being somewhat fair.
Yeah, you gotta ask for 50.
Yeah, I mean when he first says it in the scene, when because Jesse's like, all right, 1.2 million, so I get like 600 grand then. That's dope. And Walt's like,
Saul's cut is 20%.
I heard that and I was like, Saul's cut. Saul 20%. That's a lot of money he got out of that. Almost 300,000.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, Saul's sitting kind of in a pretty position there.
Earned it.
Back at the crib, Junior shows Walt and Skylar his fresh new website, SaveWalterWhite.com. It's all about raking in donations for Walt's surgery, but Walt ain't feeling it, straight up mortified by the idea of free money. Skylar, though, pushes back, saying it would crush the little homie's heart if Walt shut it down. Then she asks him why he's so offended in the first damn place. Let's examine this a little bit, won't we? Can we? Walt's, like, severe distaste for charity, because this came up before. Back at Elliot Schwartz's birthday party when they're leaving, and Walt's like,
he offered me a job.
What?
Yes. Kind of like some fig leaf, you know? Some face-saving bullshit that allowed me to generously accept his charity. And then when I turned that down, he flat out offered to pay for my treatment.
He sees it as a bad thing. He sees it as something that, no, like, I'm not taking that. It's
for other people.
Why does he, what's up with that?
I think it's the same sort of idea when people who have a negative idea of people who are on welfare or food stamps or something. You couldn't tell somebody who was even a little bit affluent that they like could be on food stamps or something. Even if they qualified, they wouldn't ever sign up for it because that's for a different grade of people. You know what I mean?
That's
Walter,
for poor people.
Yes. Walter's better than that in his mind. That could be some shit that he was raised with or something else. Like, man, he does not accept charity. You do not accept charity if you're Walter White or his family. It really does. It's so ingrained in him that has to just
be. Because it has nothing to do with the money that this has something
like,
to do with the money he has in the walls.
It's almost irrational. Like, I could see it comes in all instances.
It comes in all instances. Exactly.
Like
whether he had this money or not. Back when he didn't know how he was going to pay for the fucking...
You have a rich friend offering to pay and you're still like, I don't accept charity. This isn't Salvation Army, man. Like,
bro, when he was talking to Gretchen in that restaurant, he said,
what would your presumption about me be exactly? That I should go begging for your charity? And you waving your checkbook around like some magic wand is going to make me forget how you and Elliot cut me out.
What? He was talking about her, like, her being rich was something that he was mad at her for. Like,
I can understand finding this very embarrassing. I could see not wanting my son to make a website asking for handouts from strangers online, especially in this day and age. This is pre-fucking, what's the website where everybody asks for help for money?
GoFundMe?
Yeah, yes. People weren't doing that all like that. And even then, bro, You got to be desperate to start a GoFundMe. Like, people just don't want to have GoFundMes for charities and stuff like that.
I understand that, but all right, so I get that, and I would feel the same way. I would want to have been consulted
at least
in this situation, or like get some sort of heads up that this is happening, and then have a say in whether or not it was going to happen or if it's going to continue. But thinking about it from Walter Jr.'s perspective and Skylar's,
supposed to be a surprise.
No, not even that part. You had a donor who was paying for the cancer treatment. Y'all know that they're not paying for this surgery. And y'all are like broke. Where else is that money going to come from? He's like, I want to help. I'm going to do something to help out. And of course, he never imagines that it's going to blow up like it does. And without Walt,
it wouldn't have.
Probably how many people would have gone to that janky ass website and actually given money to this kid for his dad's cancer?
What's interesting for me is it's like, another reason I would have just ended up telling Skylar if I was Walt is this episode and the next episode, it's like they're just putting straws on the camel's back. How much of this indignity can you take while y'all are on the news now?
Yeah.
You're sitting on the news begging for money for your treatment. How much of this are you willing to take, Walt, before you tell Skylar that you have $1 million hiding in the freaking walls of this house?
You are now watching Life, Death, and Dopeboys.
Just in case she decides to do a little spit up, and roll up a nice clean towel like this and put it under.
I'm on your back, baby, in case you throw up on your side. Sit on your side.
Like, you want to keep your lie going, but you also want credit for doing this? Like, something's got to give.
Those ideas don't mesh. It's like inevitable. It's like two cars in a one-lane road driving towards each other. There's going to be a crash, no matter how much you're trying to avoid it. You can't want both things and try to keep them separate still.
He could have squashed all of this embarrassment in a hour-long conversation with Skylar.
She would have been mad for a minute.
You've been mad. We're rich now, though. Like, how mad are you really gonna be? And if Heisenberg wasn't Heisenberg, all of the danger that he gets into in season 3 would have never happened. So she'd have had no reason to ever be worried. That whole "I'm the one who knocks" speech would have never had to happen. Skylar and I just go to work 8 hours a day and I make $12 million a year. $2 million? I can't remember. Either way,
any million a year. But he would have had to tell her or suck it up.
I can't imagine being rich and having earned all of this wealth for my family and still watching my family stress about money. It defeats the purpose. It disproves the whole doing it for family shit, because his whole family is stressing about how they're going to pay for stuff. And he doesn't want anybody to worry about it, but also doesn't want anybody to know that he has all of the money.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Just let me worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nah, I'm a worry. We have a $200,000 bill coming in 4 weeks.
And a brand new baby.
Ooh, yes.
Like, there's so many reasons that he should have been like, hey, don't worry about it. And this is why.
He
should have showed Skylar the money. Like, how freaked out is she going to get? Let's be real.
Your brother-in-law is a DEA agent.
Oh, shut up. You better stay quiet.
Don't say nothing. I'm sure you can keep this secret.
Because, even once, let's skip ahead a few seasons. When Hank finds out that Walt is Heisenberg, and he goes to Skylar and tells her and tries to warn Skylar, do you remember what her reaction is?
It's a very non-reaction.
Yeah. Skylar knows.
I want my lawyer.
Skylar knows what to do in case some shit like that happens.
He wants to keep messing around with Jesse. You have a better partner, right?
Yes, I see. That's what I'm saying. He has a solid partner who is level-headed enough to handle any of the big shit that happens. Skylar handles a lot for them until she can't figure out where to hide the money anymore.
I don't know why he didn't ask Gus for advice.
Saul drops some knowledge on Walt. Something about a Belarus hacker who can clean up his drug money through Walter Jr.'s site. Meanwhile, Jesse fades into a heroin high, griping about how Walter owes him $480. Jane's like, yeah, I'd be pissed if somebody owed me $500 too. Jesse, half out of it, keeps mumbling, 1,000, and Jane's like, what?
$480,000. She just learned that her boyfriend is sitting on $500,000.
I guess she must have thought that he was just a much lower scale drug dealer. Because I guess $500 is still a lot of money to be owed. I'd be pissed somebody owed me $500 too, but like, and he doesn't have very nice things. It doesn't seem.
At least he's not interested in, he's not interested in buying. At least we know that he's just not interested in having like a lavish, luxurious lifestyle because he doesn't spend a whole bunch of money. Jesse, surprisingly, does not spend a lot of money.
No, he doesn't, except for on drugs.
But I'm willing to believe that Jane probably thinks that he just like deals marijuana. Jane has no reason to believe that he's a meth dealer. The one drug that she sees him using often is weed.
I don't know, man. Combo died. And he's going to smoke meth to cope. I feel nobody gets murdered over cannabis. Nobody's selling cannabis on the corner. Even back in 2008.
You want some weed, man?
Yeah.
Not on the corner, man. You can walk through freaking, man, I was in the Bahamas. And you could be walking through like one of the tourist areas and one of the natives will be like, especially if you're a black dude, hey man, you want some weed? This dude's on the street. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about the legal status of marijuana in the Bahamas.
I'm pretty sure it's quite illegal, but I could be completely wrong.
But you can go to the Bahamas and there are dudes asking you if you want some who were.
What a time to be alive. But that's 2024. 2018?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
2008, rather?
Yeah, 2008. I don't know, but like,
I think
she thinks that he's a small time drug dealer. I still don't feel like, I mean, I feel like, all right, maybe she figures, because he's not smoking his own meth anyway.
He is not smoking blue meth.
So she figures that he just has a way to get meth when he tells her he's about to smoke meth to cope. But like, I wouldn't assume that Jesse is pushing numbers like into the thousands, because he's made like a $70,000 drug deal. He's made like $35,000. Here he's making $480,000. Like, he makes like 6 figures per deal. Like
at least 5. Yeah, you're right about that.
At least 5. So
maybe she thinks he's like a coke dealer who just smokes meth.
Yeah, because that is the one drug that he doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes sense. If I know somebody's a drug dealer and I see them using every
every drug except
for coke, I'm like, all right, he's a coke dealer. He probably
one of your homeboys was selling drugs and got gunned down on the streets. Like, he was selling some shit.
It wasn't weed.
It was not weed or psychedelics. People don't get murdered over psychedelics either.
I couldn't imagine somebody getting gunned down over some mushrooms or shit.
Yeah, right.
That just doesn't happen.
Combo had a 10 strip on him. They gunned my boy down.
But are psychedelics, like, are mushrooms addictive?
No.
No? No. So maybe it's just that, like, it's the drugs that people use and immediately want, like, need some more.
The supply and demand.
It's the supply and demand thing, to where like you can get like a brick of cocaine and be like, all right, I'm gonna move this brick, get another brick, and move it to the same people like tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Like that's not unheard of. Yeah. Especially, you know.
I listen to rap music.
Yeah. I always wonder though, like, what if, because this revelation, like, she would have eventually learned that he was selling meth or that he was making like this amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if he had been coherent in order to get that phone call that Walt dropped him in order to complete that drug deal successfully, and then he just had his money by now, do you think he would have been able to hide that from her, or like would she have eventually found out? I feel like she would have.
Yeah, Jane's not dumb. I think she would have found out.
So
I don't think he would have hid it from her though. He
yeah.
has no one else to tell, and Jesse doesn't have to hide it.
So then, given that, what do you think would have happened if she had had this revelation or learned that he had this kind of money before she relapsed?
I think that she would have potentially been a much more positive influence on his life if she wasn't high on smack. Because even in the episode where he does meth in front of her and she ends up relapsing, she tries to convince him to do other things. She probably would have tried to convince him to go to rehab and get clean. But then, like, her whole rant about, like, getting out of here, that probably wouldn't have been much different, except it would have been more measured. She's, like, obviously, like, tweaking the fuck out as they're, like, rambling out these plans that they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, slow down, lady. Jane seemed to have some kind of idea of what she was doing with her life before.
Yeah, what she wanted to. Right.
I think she would have been a much more positive influence. Jesse is the one who needs guided.
Talk about the two Janes. Like you mentioned like a couple of days ago when we were just kind of sitting back talking about business, that Jesse and Jane's relationship, like they have two relationships.
Yes. Yeah, there's drug addict Jane and then there's clean Jane. And they are two different people completely. Like, drug addict Jane's not interested in going to fucking art museums and, like, talking about any of the interesting topics they talked about and stuff like that and seeing his art. She doesn't give a fuck about none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't care about enriching Jesse's life or turning him on to any new ideas or anything like that. She just wants to lay in bed and do heroin.
Because that's all she does from here on out. Like, since she relapsed, she hasn't done anything but drugs.
Yes. That's it.
But so clean Jane, you feel like would have been like, all right, you have $480,000.
What do you plan on doing with it?
What are you going to do with it?
Yes.
And then after that, been like, no, you're getting out. We're not selling drugs no more. We're going to take this money. We're going to use it for something productive.
Yes.
That's a whole different Jane. Like, that's
Jane's a bitch before she does heroin.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, but she's not a bad person. And she doesn't... It's hard to say that she doesn't seem short-sighted when she makes these... She's most known for her short-sighted ass decisions.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think would have stayed the same is she probably still would have called and threatened Walter.
If he didn't get the money.
Yeah, I think sober Jane still would have done that shit.
But I guess if she wouldn't have relapsed, then Jesse wouldn't have been on heroin. And so there would have been no reason for her to call and extort.
Jesse
Walt.
would have gotten the call. They wouldn't have been on heroin.
Yeah, it just would have been.
If anything, they'd have been at like an art museum. They're in like Arizona doing some cool stuff.
Yeah. The next day, Donald is solo at a support group session. No Jane in sight. He hits up Jane and ends up catching her trying to slide out of Jesse's spot. Dude ain't having it, barges past her and walks in on Jesse, who's knocked out with all the heroin gear on the bedside table. He loses it and starts wailing on Jesse, who's quick to grab a baseball bat. Donald's had enough and calls the cops to come bust Jane, but Jane is able to finesse it, promising she'll check into rehab the next day. Sun bounces, and as he's out though, Jane flips the script. She tells Jesse they can roll however they want once they got his money, so she hits up Walt and threatens to bring the whole house down if he don't cough up that cash by the end of the night. What changed? Like, this, yeah, we talked about the two Janes, but like, this is like, you're saying this stuff to your dad, and then literally as soon as he leaves, you're like, we don't got to listen to nobody. We can just be out of here. But then she still has the idea to stop doing heroin. Like, why betray your dad? Like, the money is still going to be there. Why not just be like, all right, Jesse, he just left. We kind of just dodged a bullet with him not calling the cops because he should have. Let's both go to rehab. Let's both get clean. And then let's dip out with the money. Why not do that? Why make this plan to like skip out on your dad? And
I don't think Jane wants to go to rehab. She sees an opportunity to not have to do that.
That's what it is, just on some Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, she sees an opportunity to do something else.
Yeah, like, nah, I don't have to go to rehab.
Yeah.
We're just going to go to New Zealand.
That's drugs talking, it sounds like. That conversation is like, whoa, those are drugs talking.
But like Jesse, Donald, the calling her from being parked in front of the house move, that's some real dad stuff. Like,
Oh yeah. I think this scene and the scene once they get the money are Jane's best acting
yeah,
in the series. Yes.
this is a really well acted scene because you really get the feeling that like, oh man,
She's-
shit's about to hit the fan.
She
No, it's not what it
actually
was-
seems like she's coming down off drugs. She's actually seems the whole crying and manipulating her dad is very convincing.
And you start to like, you know, when he walks up to the house and even him walking like through the hallway and she's trailing behind him, like, no, it's not what it looks like. Don't, you don't have to go. No, don't like dad. No, wait. Like that to me is like, oh, he's about to see some shit.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty when he figures out what's about to happen. And the first thing he does is ram Jesse's head into a milk crate. And I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Jesse deserves it.
But he starts dialing the police.
Bro, he
would've-
calls 911.
They
The
would
police would have
They
showed
would have
up.
pulled up.
Yeah.
They would have eventually pulled up. I don't know how things are in Albuquerque.
Yeah, if you
but-
call 911 here, the police show up. I could call 911 right now and hang up, and the police will be here.
Yeah, we got a phone call from this area. Something going on? No. What are you talking about, officer?
My thing is, too, he had to have just been mad because even beyond the capacity of this is your daughter and shit, you're still the landlord.
Yeah.
The back door is busted open and shit. Like, he has other reasons for the police to be here. He has other reasons to kick
Yeah.
Jesse out.
Yeah.
Jesse is fucked.
Yeah. And especially after this whole situation is over, Jesse does not have a place to live. It's probably the first thing he does is like, all right, I'm evicting this tenant.
Oh, yeah, bro. You got to get the fuck up out of my house
It's
now.
over. But like, yeah, he has hella reasons. Hella reasons. I don't know why. I feel like Donald is partly responsible for Jane's death. I feel like there are a lot of parties who are responsible for Jane's death. Like a lot of people just blame Walt.
You're victim blaming. I blame Jesse.
I'm not blaming him completely. Well, then you're victim blaming. Jesse is also a victim of Jane's death. Like there are a lot of people who are responsible. I'm not saying, hey, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault. But did he have the opportunity to make a decision that could have changed the outcome?
Yes.
Yes, he should have taken Jane with him.
Should have stayed
When
until
he-
the police got there, and then he should have taken Jane then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to rehab right then.
Maybe not even to rehab, maybe to like spend the night at his house to like come down off of her high because she asked for a day. She says she'll go in the morning. He's cool with that. I don't have no problem with that. But then it's like, all right, well, I'm not leaving you here with this he doesn't know that she does meth, but
You can't trust a junkie. That's
with
what
this
that says.
junkie and a bunch of meth or heroin. Your drug of choice is still sitting in that back room that you just pulled them out of. So you know that there's someone who can influence her. And then you know that there is drugs in the house still. And she can potentially die. That's what he's scared of. So he leaves her there. Like that to me is a bad decision. It's a bad decision. I would have brought her with me.
Mhm.
She might have stayed the night and then I'm taking you to rehab in the morning, whatever that would be it. Not that it's his fault. He could have done something though.
I think it's the least his fault.
It is the least his fault.
His fault.
The least.
It's like your whole thing that you just said, he probably says to himself. And then people go, you can't blame yourself for this.
But I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying it's his fault. Maybe that's just, semantics.
Yeah. So Jesse and Jane are playing the waiting game, wondering if Walt's gonna buckle under the pressure. While they're deep in thought, Skylar sends Walt on a diaper run. Walt uses it as an opportunity to snag a duffel bag with Jesse's share of the cash and roll to their duplex. Jane opens the door, but Walt's like, hell no, man, tell Jesse I said come here. When Walt throws shade with nice wearing the pants and lace and shit, Jesse snaps back at him, tells Walt he won't be seeing them pants ever again. Then Jane slams the door in Walt's face. Jesse doesn't have any agency in this episode whatsoever. He has people pulling him in directions. He doesn't make any of the decisions on his own.
Yeah, Jesse has been relegated almost like, not even almost. Jesse has been relegated to a background character
Yes.
in this episode.
Yes.
He's completely robbed of all of his agency.
Yes.
And yeah, this graphic
He's
like
a
pretty much
background
demonstrates
character.
he's a background character. It's literally the battle for Jesse. This is a parental dispute.
Yeah, right. This is a custody battle over this motherfucker.
And he's talking like he doesn't have like any choice in the matter. And I think about it from, so if you're Jesse and you're looking at Jane's plan from Jesse's point of view, Jane is going to
blackmail Walter.
And y'all are just going to be all right. You're going to take $480,000 and skip town. Like,
I feel like there's some stuff that Jesse should have talked to Jane about first. Like, for one, I'm his partner. If he goes to prison, I do too. There is going to be no me testifying against Walter and not going to prison.
Yeah, he says something interesting in the scene where they're outside, like smoking, talking about it. And he goes like, I'm not the type of person to roll, and by extension, neither are you. Saying like, yo, you're dating a drug dealer.
Yeah.
So you're Kay Adams, bro. Like you're not gonna be snitching on nobody. That's not, because if you do, then people are gonna be looking at me like, bro, why should I work with you? Why should I?
I feel like beyond that too, Jesse should have sat Jane down to be like, listen, this man has already murdered 2 people. Like, Walter White is much more than you realize him to be. He is much more than just some fucking calmly high school science teacher. We melted 2 dudes in acid like a few weeks ago. Like, this is serious. Don't threaten him. He'll kill you. He's dangerous.
He's dangerous, and he's crazy.
You should be a little afraid of him at least. Like, really.
This plan is way too basic for you to be like...
There is no disappearing. Like...
No. And not only that, but like, you know, we talk about Jesse taking the money and skipping town, blah, blah, blah. But it's never Jesse's decision to get out of the business. Like Jane has decided for Jesse that you're not cooking meth no more. We're going to take this money. We're going to leave. We're going to start a whole new life. Like, I've decided what you're going to do with your future.
I think that would have happened even if she was sober, though.
I understand that, but that would have been coming from a much less like
controlling, manipulative,
anxiety-based,
money grubbing.
Yeah, it'd be like, all right, you know, we're going to get you out of this business. We're going to take this as your cash out, and we're going to get out of here. But it's like, Jesse, for me, I'm looking at the situation like, all right, I cook meth with Walter White.
Mm-hmm.
We just made $500,000 on a drug deal. Am I finished?
Yeah.
And then as you're trying to think of that, she comes up with this plan to blackmail your partner. You don't even know if you're finished cooking meth yet. That's not like, this isn't a place where you can just be like, all right, I'm just going to kind of let her make all the decisions. I'm going to let her drive. And
would you want to continue working with Walter White after this?
I don't really think that's well, is it like,
because yeah, all right, you can, sure, let's say Jesse continued cooking meth. He's not going to be blue meth. And he immediately makes himself one of Walter's competitors, which is not a good idea. We see what happens to Walter's competitors.
I think that Jesse still working with Walter White is still on the table at this point, and Jane is cutting that bridge. I would want, in Jesse's shoes, I would want the option of being able to say, all right, I'm going to just let that part of my life go. But Jesse is okay with this. He's okay with this background character.
Yeah.
Shit, like.
Jesse doesn't make decisions for it. He's used to getting sunned by people.
And then when Walt comes to the door and Jane answers it, and according to Jane, the way this would have went was Jane answers the door, grabs the briefcase from Walt, and closes the door. Jesse's like, where is Jesse?
He's back there, standing in the fucking
out of sight, like blocking, like
not looking, like trying to hide.
I don't want Walter to see me type situation. And then when he finally does come to the door, it's like, you don't say anything.
You won't even make eye contact.
For yourself. You can't even make eye contact.
He looks at his shoes.
You grab the money, and then you say, you won't be hearing from either of us again. And when Walt asks Jesse, well, how do I know that she's going to stay quiet? Jane answers the question. Like, doesn't even let him answer. Like
and answers in
Jesse's-
a very dangerous way. It's like, Jesse, I would have told homie, if we were partners and you were dangerous and my girlfriend threatened you, I'd probably, hey, stop. Don't threaten him. Are you crazy? Do you, like, obviously they haven't talked about the type of things that Walter and Jesse have done because
Yeah.
Jesse's foolish to be letting Jane threaten this man.
Yeah.
Straight up.
But
Jesse doesn't care about Jane, obviously, to be letting Jane threaten Walter to his face like that.
I think he just completely, I don't even think it's that deep. I think he just has decided to stop making decisions.
Yeah.
And
he's a fucking husk.
no matter what, like he's not even going to contribute. He's not going to add any information. Like you said, yeah, he's a husk. He's on the sidelines. He's in the background. He's not driving.
Yeah.
This dude is in the trunk. Jesse doesn't matter right now.
Nope.
What Jesse wants doesn't matter. What Jesse's goals are doesn't matter. This is between Walt and Jane.
It's so crazy too, because like I have no idea what Jesse wants. It's never even like mentioned or acknowledged. I've seen this show countless times at this point. I have no idea what Jesse wants. No one even asks him.
Jane's holding them stacks, hype as hell, talking about going anywhere, becoming whoever they want. They're caught up, dreaming about a fresh start in New Zealand after they clean up. But reality hits when they stroll back to the bedroom and the heroin gear still on the nightstand, calling their names. Do you feel like after like watching this scene, do you feel like Jesse never buys into all of Jane's suggestions?
How do you mean? Why do
I
you
mean,
feel that
like,
way?
from the moment that she starts ranting and talking about, from the moment she starts talking about giving up drugs.
All this here? We're not gonna just shoot this up our arms, Jesse. We're not.
Oh, no. We're better than that.
Because he's all in on the skipping town, going to New Zealand. I can be a bush pilot and you can work on your art things. A bush pilot? All right, he's all the way in on that. But when she goes, we'll flush what we have, and that's when I feel like he completely disengages. Like his mind goes somewhere whole else.
Mm-hmm. Because she's a drug dealer. He's a drug addict, and she's talking about getting rid of their drugs.
And she's quit already voluntarily. It's already a given that she.
Do you really think it was voluntarily? I feel like
it has to be for you to stay clean for 18 months. Maybe
her dad was going to the meetings with her. Her dad was making sure she was going to the meetings.
Yeah, okay, so she had his help. But in order to get off of heroin and stay clean for 18 months, you have to have some sort of intrinsic motivation to do that. Or you're just going to go back to it. There's no amount of help.
She does go back to it.
18, I'm talking about staying clean for 18 months.
18
That's an
months
accomplishment.
of her dad making sure she's going to the meetings. 18 months of motherfuckers checking up on her to make sure that she is...
Yeah, so...
I don't think any of it was voluntary. I think that she was made to go to rehab.
She was forced, but then you couldn't leave her alone.
Her dad
I'm not talking about...
Her dad didn't leave her alone. When
all right,
he did, you saw what happened.
So he was sweating her, okay. But she had to have been intrinsically motivated to stay clean.
She didn't even have a sponsor. It's weird. Her dad was her sponsor, and that seems so...
Yeah, that's not really the best.
That's out of the normal. Why wasn't someone else at the meetings her sponsor? Why was her dad...
Somebody else who was a recovering addict. Yeah. She should have had a sponsor.
None of it seemed voluntary for her. None of it seemed voluntary.
My thing is, and I'm not an addict of any sort, so and I haven't been through any type of recovery program. But I just have a feeling that staying clean for 18 months is a huge accomplishment. Staying clean for 1 month is a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
I don't think you do that without your own reasons to stop. And then not only that, but once they get the money, her first suggestion is to get off drugs. She doesn't have the strength to because she's freshly relapsed. It's like she's starting over from day one. But she's got to have her own reasons, bro. But Jesse has never decided to stop doing drugs. Mm-hmm. So when she suggests flushing all the drugs, I feel like he's just like, hold up now.
He was planning on doing the drugs to celebrate having the money.
He's like, pour them down the drain. Let's do these.
Yeah, what do you mean? The meth too?
I feel like people are soft on Jane too for that reason, for her suggestion of getting off of drugs.
Just one fleeting. I think people are soft on Jane because she's pretty.
I think there are a lot of reasons. I think her being pretty is one of them. I think that her wanting to, like, her first idea being to get clean is one of them. I think that her first reaction to hearing that that Jesse's friend Combo died is to try and get him to a meeting. I think that's one of the reasons. I think that's
a solid reason.
Yeah, I think it's a collection of reasons. I don't think it's just one thing that makes people soft on Jane. Jane is like a really complex character. Even though she's only in half of one season, no more than half, but she's solidly complex. She's deep.
Yeah, she is.
But this was never going to work.
If Jane had tried to get Jesse off meth before she knew he did meth, like, she would have had to have suggested getting off meth before Combo died.
She would have had to have suggested to him that he comes to one of her meetings with her just to, like, see, like, yeah, you want to take me to one of my meetings and kind of see what it's like? Like, this is something that I do on the regular. I go to these meetings once a week. You want to come to one?
We're talking, like, fucking best time fucking line right now. This is the best possible Breaking Bad timeline, where Jane's like, oh shit, my dad called me. I'm late for one of my meetings. Can you take me? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll take you to one of your meetings. And then Jesse starts going to meetings with Jane.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best timeline. Best case scenario, the ideal Breaking Bad timeline. Yeah, for sure.
At least for Jesse. Then Walter kills Jane so that Jesse starts selling meth again.
That's the best case scenario. Walt just comes in gunning. Give me Jesse back.
It's time to cook, Jesse.
What's changed? I'm clean.
Bro,
I'm trying to turn my life around. What's changed, Jesse? What an asshole.
Yeah. Walt hits up a bar, dials up Skylar with some bogus story about not finding newborn diapers anywhere. Donald, posted up at the same bar, catches wind of Walt's fib and gives him props for the slick move. Little does Walt know, Donald's Jane's old man. They start talking daughters and family, and Walt, clueless about the connection, asks for advice. Walt spills the beans about his nephew Jesse, not naming names but talking about a kid in deep trouble who won't listen. He's all frustrated, trying to do right by the young ones. Donald drops some wisdom, saying you can never give up on them. Walt takes it to heart and decides he's got to roll back to Jesse's spot and maybe talk some sense into him.
So the conversation with Donald is the reason why Walt goes back to the house.
Yes.
If that conversation doesn't happen, Jane lives then.
I think so.
A lot of people live.
Yeah. Donald has good intentions, and honestly, like, he's not lying. Everything Donald says is true. It's just coincidental that it leads to Jane dying.
Yes, because neither of them know that the other person is talking about a kid that they don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so...
If either one of them had gone deeper into their issue.
with
the child they're talking about.
Oh, wait, it's drugs? Which drug? Heroin?
Yeah, my daughter...
Who's
has met this piece of shit drug dealer who sells meth out of my whole apartment. Really? My nephew's dating this heroin junkie whore. People, let me tell you about my best friend.
Essentially, man, and low-key, like, Jesse is Walt's best friend. Man. We brought up The Fly earlier when we were bringing the episode in. And Walter talks about, like, what are the chances, right? And it's like this conversation, man, like, this conversation leads to, it's like a cascade. Like, there's so much that happens off of this that could have been changed. You know, Donald winds up not killing a whole bunch of people. And I definitely think, you know, answering your question again, that if Walt knew that Donald was talking about Jane, then he would have saved her. But, like, I feel like if he could have,
they still have ended up going to rehab, at least Jane. If Walter had saved Jane, they'd have still been passed out when Donald got there in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, all right, wake up.
He would have been pissed some more because he would have seen if they just went back to do more drugs. And it would have been like, nah, I'm killing Jesse.
It would have reinforced his get the fuck up, let's go to rehab now.
because all those ideas that they had to like leave and skip town, they would have had to do that instead of heroin.
Yeah, they should have done meth.
Yeah, it would have just amped them up to go and skip town, just giving them way more motivation. Like, all right, let's take this money
and get the fuck out of here. Some of those ideas they might have actually been able to at least start accomplishing.
Bro, they had enough money to where everything they were talking about was realistic.
Yeah.
Walt swings by, no answer at the front door, so he does what he did before and slides in through the back. Jesse and Jane are knocked out in bed, and it hits Walt hard seeing them syringes on the bedside table. He tries to wake up Jesse, but Jane flips over, and things take a dark turn. Jane starts choking on her own vomit, and Walt's standing there torn. He moves to help, but he hits the brakes. With Jesse still out cold, Walt watches as Jane chokes, breathing her last. Dude's shaking, tear rolling down his cheek, but ultimately, he doesn't do nothing to save her. Just gets ghost. And that's the ep.
On my first watch of Breaking Bad, this was the scene that started to turn me against Walter.
That's the case for a lot of people. At the very least, I've seen for a lot of people, like on social media, like fan pages for Breaking Bad, a lot of people consider this the moment that he
becomes a villain.
He becomes a villain.
Yeah. This was the first time for me that it was like, what the fuck, Walt? Like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm. This is that point for me too, especially like
it was completely inexcusable. There's like no reason not to save Jane. Like, there's no reason not to save Jane for me.
We've been kind of sprinkling discussion about Jane's death throughout the podcast ever since we started recording season 1.
Yeah.
Especially since we've got to season 2.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of instances where I've kind of fought you on whether or not Walt killed Jane, because you say that a lot. Walt killed Jane. And I'm like, did he? Did he?
Walt killed Jane.
What I was forgetting, or I guess maybe what I failed to notice, is that Walt's the reason why she
rolled over in the first place.
Onto her back in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that when I saw that, I was like, okay, all right, Justin's right. Walt killed Jane. If you're the reason why she rolled over and then she starts choking to death on her own vomit, yeah, like it's on you to put her back where she was. Or at least, do something. Turn her head a little bit.
Something. This is all it would have taken to save Jane. He got it hard, like, bitch, stole Jesse from me. Like, he could have been
wakes
mean
up
about
with
it.
a huge bruise on her feet.
Yeah, but she wakes up.
I feel like at the very most, all right, this is very unlikely to happen since Walt has a family at home that he's still trying to hide all of this whole life from. But Walt could have saved her and then hung out, like stayed there with them to make sure that they were going to be okay through the night. Now, a couple of things would have happened after that. Donald would have pulled up and Walt would have been at the house. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, awkward. Like,
hey, I remember you. This you. Oh, what? Hey,
what
But I particularly appreciate that while Walt is knocking on the door, he says, he starts with like, if you get clean, like, he corrects himself. He's like, if you both get clean.
If you both get clean.
You know what? I take that back. This is blackmail.
Like, is he actually like considering Jane as a part of that equation, or do you think this is like clever manipulation? Like, what's actually going on here?
I just don't think he trusts drug addict motherfucking Jane, and he knows that she's attached to Jesse now. I don't think Walter cares very much about Jane, like, regardless. I don't think it's her sobriety that he's really concerned about.
If she's not
the strung out chick's influence on Jesse.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that can be the case. Like, he can selfishly want Jane to get clean. I think that, especially since, like you said, like, Jane's attached to Jesse now. Like, Jesse's not going to break up with Jane.
Mm-mm.
So if I'm going to get Jesse back, if I'm going to get Jesse to clean himself up, he's not going to do that unless Jane also cleans herself up. It's like it's a joint effort now, especially since like you just witnessed how much of a
whole grasp.
a grasp she has on him. Like, my dude didn't even answer his own door.
No, I mean it's her building.
That doesn't. So that's still his dwelling. Like, as far as I'm concerned, she's still not allowed to just bust in whenever she wants. She would still have to like call him and see like, yo, I'm coming by to change the filter on the furnace. Like, are you going to be home? Is it okay if I let myself in? Like, that's a courtesy that I expect as a tenant.
What if you were fucking your landlord?
Ugh. But yeah, like, that's another one of those things like that I take into account. Like with this scene, there's a lot of character work being done with Walter White. You see him like going like start to save her and then stop and then consider whether or not he's going to save her. And then
I remember I was like, screaming at the TV like, Walt, do something.
Save her.
Don't just stand there. Leave at least. I'm not going to stand here and watch her die. Let's at least go back to the car so she dies on my drive home.
I don't know. Like, this seems like one of those moments like Walt can't believe what he's doing. Like,
this is like, it's a different kind of fucked up to like watch someone die.
Yeah, but he doesn't watch like looking over her the whole time, like me mugging her, like, yeah. There's like an actual emotional response. This is Brian. This scene is Bryan Cranston's, some of his finest work.
Yeah, but that's great and all.
You're meant to see the emotional cycle that Walter White goes through during this scene and
he's a monster.
Maybe not feel bad for him. That's not the point, but to see that he is going through something during this. Like, do you feel like he is feeling bad for what he's doing while he's doing it? Do you think he's looking at this in disbelief of what he's doing? What do you think that this is?
I have never put much thought into what's going on in this son of a bitch's head
Never?
At the time. I'm so shocked by what he's doing. Like, there's no...
You never considered that maybe he's also shocked by what he's doing?
I guess.
Like, who he thinks he is versus what he's doing right now is like at a conflict. This is like the last vestiges of
the good
Walter,
person that Walter is. Because, yeah, this is pretty horrible.
Like, how do you reconcile this with all of your other motivations that you claim?
Yeah.
With the reason why you came here in the first place? Like, how do you reconcile your actions with the things that you've been saying?
Maybe, do you think you rationalized it as it was better for Jesse? Because,
yes.
like, realistically, Jane's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to Jesse, including her tragic death. Jesse needed that wake-up call. Jesse needed a wake-up call that would, like, actually hit him. Getting kicked out of his own home. None of the other shit that's happened in season 2 was a wake-up call yet for Jesse. For some reason. He had a bunch of wake-up calls that he just ignored. He needed to wake up
and I
next
think
to a
one
dead
of
girl.
them is Walter withholding his money from him until he gets clean. I think that was Walter's attempt at giving him a wake-up call.
Well, Walter gave him a wake-up call.
That's the real wake-up
like
call.
Killing his girlfriend.
You've said before that if Jane doesn't die, Jesse dies.
Yeah. I completely believe that.
Now is the time to talk about that.
Bro, if they had gotten away with the money as they are now, like, if Walter hadn't come back to the house and, I don't know, maybe they hadn't passed out on heroin, if they had actually gotten away with $500,000, they'd have just been really rich drug addicts. Like, Jesse probably would have been dead within like a month. They would have both inevitably overdosed.
In New Zealand?
Yes.
They would have gone out there and still
did a bunch of heroin. They'd have gone out there and bought a hobbit hole.
Because they're both like bad. A hobbit hole.
And then done a bunch of heroin in it.
The overdose of the hobbit hole. That's hilarious. They're way oversized for one. They'd just be two giants in a hobbit hole.
I think that's just camera tricks. I'm pretty sure they're human sized. People live in them to this day.
We can go to like a hobbit hole Airbnb.
Yes. Yes, Kareem. Yes, we can. That's a thing.
Noted. When you get that text message like, I'm in New Zealand.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I'm at the Shire.
I'm a bush pilot out here.
But no, yeah, I really don't see how anything good could have come of letting these two go with the money. Like, as much as I think that it's Jesse's money and he had all rights to it, nothing good would have come of those two getting away with that money.
Would you have given Jesse the money? So he would have thrown that glass beaker at your chalkboard too?
I feel like I wouldn't have given them the money, but it would have been for completely different reasons. It wouldn't have been because I thought that he was on drugs, or I wouldn't have given a fuck about his drug use other than the fact that, like, he does heroin now too. It would have been more, fuck you, I did all this. Like, I did this. Jesse, what did you really do other than go to the store and get stuff? Like, the blue meth is my fault. Getting the methylamine was my idea. I had to break into your apartment to wake you up to fucking get the drugs to go get the $1 million in the first place. Like, this is my money.
Yeah, maybe I'll cut you in.
Yeah,
25%.
I'll give you some of it, I guess. But, like, fuck you, bro. He'd have had to fight me for it. He's a crazy meth head, so he probably would have won.
I think that Walter's motivations for this, I think they're twofold, you know, that double-edged sword, because I do feel like a big part of it is that like this woman was just antagonizing him. She was just antagonizing him. If she was nothing but pleasant, but she was also a drug addict, there's probably still a little bit of a chance that he might have saved her. But I do feel like he probably thought he was making a good decision for Jesse.
For both of them. I think it's like when he killed Mike and then realized immediately afterwards that he didn't really have to kill Mike.
I just realized it. Shut the fuck up.
I don't think that I think that he goes the entire rest of the series, though, justifying, like, I never have gotten the feeling that he felt like this was the wrong decision.
No,
I
do
feel bad.
I do. The Fly episode makes it feel like he regrets this. I think he regrets it in the Fly episode. I think that episode, yeah, his whole monologue when he's talking to Jesse about everything, when he almost tells Jesse that this shit happened.
I think he might have told Jesse if he didn't hear the Fly again.
Yeah, I do too.
Because that's what interrupted him. Wait, it's the Fly. He was like on the edge. You felt like he was going to leak it, and then the Fly showed back up. Yep. Really good writing.
Yeah, I don't know why people hate the Fly episode so much.
Me neither.
It's so good.
For me, it's like one of my favorite ones.
It's one of the best episodes.
It's
so
just
well
like
written.
Completely focused. It's very well written.
And maybe there's just too much talking, not enough explosions and shooting and shit.
Could be that's it. If you are watching Breaking Bad for the action,
it's a good action show.
Then you definitely don't like The Fly.
Which one? Yeah, for sure. Or Skylar.
Or anything to do with Skylar or Junior or Marie.
Yeah.
Nah. There's a lot that has happened in these last couple episodes. It's about to come to a conclusion in the next episode. There were a lot of things that we talked about in this episode that I had to almost like check myself a lot because like
they happen next episode.
It's easy to like roll things over into next episode.
That's how the beginning of the season was with all the Tuco stuff that should have happened in the first season, and it still feels like season 1 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It all blends together. It's the same thing.
How do you feel about this episode?
It was one of the most iconic episodes of the show. So much. This and the next one, like shit goes hand in hand. But it's the exit of, I guess, at least a section of the fan base's favorite character. So many people love Jane so much. A lot of this is a very impactful episode of the show.
Mm-hmm. Probably why they like brought her back for some season 3 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not in a Marvel DC way, but in a flashback way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like this episode too. It like really keeps you engaged. It's like, especially once Jane calls Walter, that's when it like really picks up and really starts. Everything else is just, I don't know, B-side stuff.
You think so? It's just character stuff. The whole everything with the Save Walter White website is
Really, yeah, because really that's undercover Walter White character work.
not enough Hank. It's not enough Hank in this episode.
Yeah, not a whole bunch of Hank
What's he
going
up
on.
to?
But next episode, we get a very important Hank scene.
In episode 13?
Mm-hmm.
What am I forgetting?
Involving Gus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Next episode is also the season finale. We're
Mm.
very excited to see you guys there for that. That's going to be a good one. I can't wait to talk about this season wrap up because I have some ideas about it that kind of changed the way that I felt about this season in general, as opposed to how I felt about season 2 before we started the show.
Mm-hmm.
So in either case, thank you guys for checking this out. We appreciate you for coming through. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe this video if you liked it. Comment down below if you want to add to our conversation. And yeah, anything else?
No.
All right, we good.
Covered it quite efficiently.
Of course. Rest in peace, Wes.
Bye.